Hi everyone, this is the Focus Spender, and today I'm going to be talking about how to minimize student loans. But first, if you're new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. My channel is all about getting out of debt, staying out of debt, organizing your personal finances, and increasing your net worth. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Focus Spender on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also find me on my website, www.focusspender.com. Now let's get started. So unless you've been living under a rock, by now you've heard of billionaire, philanthropist, and investor Robert F. Smith, who was the keynote speaker at the Morehouse college graduation of 2019. And at that graduation, he pledged to pay off the student loans of the entire 2019 graduating class, which basically changes the trajectory of their lives forever. Because as we know, going to college is great, but those student loans can be crippling. You want to buy a house, you want to go on vacation, you want to do all these things with your life, but you can't because you have, student loans weighing you down. So the fact that these students are going to be graduating debt-free is absolutely amazing. Now, I know the people who graduated in 2018 are probably a little bit salty. The people that were supposed to graduate in 2019, but for whatever reason are now graduating in 2020, maybe they took a gap year or something happened and they need to take extra time. I know for a fact those people are super duper salty. And if you're like me, who one is a woman and is not eligible to go to Morehouse College because it is an all-male school, and two, graduated from college 5 million years ago, I'm just hating, dang, how come nobody came to my graduation and pledged to pay off my student loans? But whatever. I think these men, they worked hard, they deserve it, and hopefully this will change the game for billionaires everywhere. I kind of feel like if you're a billionaire, you might be, trying to get out of your next keynote address so that you don't have to feel that same pressure. But I do hope it puts pressure on people to start thinking about the fact that they have all this money and they can do so much good in ways like this. So in light of this announcement, I want to share 5 tips for people who are in college, who are going to college, or who have children that will be going to college to help them minimize their student loans that they're going to have by the end of graduation. So here are my 5 tips. The first thing I would suggest is that if you're not sure of what it is you want to do once you graduate from college, I would suggest that you start off by going to a community college, get your 2 years associate's degree, and transfer those credits to a 4-year school. So that way, those first 2 years when you're just trying to figure things out, you're not paying a hefty bill for college. Community colleges are much cheaper than 4-year colleges, whether in-state schools or private universities. And so while you're just trying to figure things out, you might as well keep your costs low. And when you graduate from your 4-year university, you'll still have that fancy degree from that fancy school, but at half the cost. So the second thing I would say is that you should pick an in-state school with the highest reputation that you can get into over a private university. In-state schools have different tuition rates, so you can go to school for much cheaper as long as you stay within your state rather than going to an in-state school in another state or going to a private university. And if you know that you're not going to be leaving your state after you graduate or you really don't have any interest, you might as well go to a school that's local, that people know about in your area anyway, and you'll get a good education for a lot less than going to a private university or going to another state for another college. So the third thing I would say is that you need to read your financial aid package very, very carefully. When I was in high school and I was getting my acceptance letters from colleges, when I would open up those financial aid packages, at first glance, it almost seemed like everybody was giving me free money. Like I was getting full rides from everywhere. But then I stopped and I looked at the letters a lot more carefully, and I saw that, the school that I ended up going to gave me a ton of money, but there were tons of other schools that would mask the student loans in fancy titles. So it would say it might use the word grant or it might use a different language, but you could tell that it was a student loan. The thing is, you have to read it very carefully and you have to ask a lot of questions. Maybe even pick up the phone, call the financial aid office and go through that package line by line and saying, is this a loan or is this a grant? Do you expect me to pay this money back? How much do you expect me to pay back? So you don't end up at a school that you're thinking you're getting a free ride to when in fact you're taking out a lot of loans. Fourth thing I would say are beware of refund checks. I never got a refund check in college, but many people that I know got refund check. Let's say their financial aid gave them $10,000 and their classes only cost $7,000. So they would get a check in the mail for $3,000. And I know people who've used that money to buy a car, to go on like shopping sprees, to just do things that they don't need to do, because in their mind they're like, oh, it's a refund check. It is a loan. Send that money back and forget it. Because if you don't send that money back and you keep it, you're going to be paying interest on it because it is a loan. And that's just adding to your debt when you absolutely did not need to. So this leads me to number 5, which is the last thing on my list. The last thing I would say is to pay down your loans while you're in school. So you can pay down your loans and you'll be paying on the principal and not the interest. Meaning, if your loan is $10,000 and you're able to pay off $3,000 while you're in school, when you graduate, your loan is now $7,000 and interest will start accruing on $7,000 and not the $10,000 of your initial loan. I remember talking to one of my friends like senior year of college, and he told me he had been paying off his student loans the entire time we were in school. And I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I didn't know. I thought you had to wait until you graduated to start paying off your loans, but you absolutely do not. So if you have the means to start paying off your loans while you're in school, whether you're in college or you're in grad school, make sure you are doing that. So those are my tips. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment below and let me know if you have other tips, and share this video with your friends. Thanks. Bye-bye.